Well, welcome everybody to a special, well, they're all special editions, but it's just amazing now that I'm back with my Carl's Corner podcast. And this is actually going to be my 50th podcast. And I have to bring on a special guest who actually gave me guidance. And I can't believe it's 2 years ago that I was planning on coming back to the Philadelphia area because I'm in California now. And I talked to a couple of people that were involved in a project I was with 40 some years ago. And without your friendship and then your guidance, that particular weekend could have turned out to be something really crazy. But introducing Daryle Seidman, a good
Hello,
friend of mine.
hello.
Yes, how you doing,
I
Daryle?
love it.
Yes, and just say why your voice is a little bit off. You can't be as boisterous as you normally are, but just give the
Yeah,
people a little bit of background on who you are.
just recovering from a little paralysis on my vocal cords, but I got that low Lou Rawls voice today. So happy to be here, Carl. Uh, yeah, it's the magic happened a couple of years back. You were very successful on the West Coast. You said you're coming east. Come hang out. Come talk about some of your projects. And I was glad to see you. And you have so much in your life as far as your journey and your storytelling. And I'm like, you got to be podcasting, man. Get on the podcast train. And you did it.
Yeah, now I just want to make it make it some revenue coming in. I think I did my due diligence. I think I came out of
Yeah.
my spring training learning this and how you mentioned to use uh, this service. And I mentioned it to everybody else, and I see everybody else using it, even like Howard Eskin back in Philly, like whoever produces the show is using the StreamYard for them. So it goes back that actually we were friends, but we didn't talk for a long time. And all of a sudden, about 9 years ago, you called me about because I was a photographer of video, and then your daughter was having her sweet 16, and
Sweet 16, yeah.
I really appreciated that you hire me for that. And here's a couple little pictures of you doing the DJs at it, her event.
Yes.
Wonderful, proud. And then time has gone by so quickly. So now the good news, she's married and you're a grandpop.
Time does fly, Carl. Yeah, from the Sweet 16 and DJing that and having to come out and shoot it. But, ever since day one, meeting you, and, kind of my day one is when I was working at California East, and the owner of the club, Dale, said that, he wants to put together a teen dance show. And he said, how can you help me out? And I said, you got disco lights here. If this is going to be a TV studio, you got to have studio lights. So I actually became the lighting director through sorts of being able to source those for him and helping him create the set there. And then we met, on set and kept in touch ever since. And we got a great eye. Also, we worked with our friend Russell Sermonera with Happenings TV. I was a local anchor there going out to Happenings events. And, we kind of worked in this, same kind of universe for many years. And it was great reconnecting with you when you came back east to talk about the California East history and the show, the documentary.
Yeah. So in your travels, I know your dad was a very big influence in your life. And what was your dad involved with for you to get to actually be into the business?
My dad was actually a sports announcer. He worked at a arena in Pennsauken called the Igloo, I guess, and worked with the early Flyers franchise. So they always say they always joke you got your dad's voice. So was able to kind of parlay that into DJing. My DJ origin story is in seventh grade. You have a student council meeting, and you're like, okay, who's on the food committee? Who's on a decorating committee? And came down to music, and everybody looked at each other and they're like, seventh grade, nobody has music. But luckily, my dad had a jukebox at home with current records in it. And it was all the good stuff, YMCA, Donna Summer, Village People. My dad's, record here for working with the Village People. So I started DJing in seventh grade and really hadn't looked back, and got into high school. And then Dale had his teen dances, and they moved from location to location, you remember. and got involved and haven't stopped and just enjoyed it. And, do it as really as a hobby today, working with charitable organizations that need a DJ. I do the Relay for Life every year for the American Cancer Society, and look for opportunities to get my kids out there DJing as well, because all three of them DJ.
I know I met a couple of them about 2011. I didn't bring about that one location down in South Jersey. It was another teen thing, but it was like a phone party or whatever. It was
Yeah, so
you
Harris
know,
Sands in Berlin, New Jersey. My oldest son, DJ D-Side, was the
yeah.
DJ for that event, and had 600-700 teams on a Saturday night. It was amazing. Definitely like the DJ world after you get a piece of the door with 600 and 700 kids. So
Well,
worked out
piece of
well.
the door. So it just so happens that through a contact that happened to be on that particular pot that show, actually was in '84. So last year would have been 40 years. So we were actually there in 2023, and I just reached out to you, and then the old building in Cherry Hill off of Route 38. What was it? Actually, Hollywood Boulevard,
Yeah, California East on Hollywood Boulevard. What a great
Hollywood
combination.
Boulevard. So we're waiting out there, a whole bunch of us, and it's right now the building is somehow producing lipsticks or something else. But then all of a sudden, I see this car, and this is what you pulled up with.
Yeah, my Miami Vice Daytona Spider was always a dream car of mine, and when I had the opportunity, definitely jumped on it.
Yeah, so I know you're a car buff and all that, but getting back, so I about a year before that, I produced with Doug Garland out of the Coliseum. I got out, I had to get out of what I was doing in construction. I always wanted to be this. I was 29 years old,
Yeah, that showbiz bug, I know.
and I didn't want to just be say, "Hey, I was just a talker." I wanted to do something. So we put our heads together, did a pilot for a TV show called Entertainment Plus with that, and we actually had Pipe Dream, had Ruth Weisberg on there along with get the other guy's name right now, but anyway, Chris McCoy. They used to be on Magic 103.
Right.
And that went over, but then it just so happens I put invitations out there, and Dale and who was his partner at the time came that Sunday morning. It was May 1st, 1983, and he came and he just checked everything out.
Luke
So
Farnoli.
there you go. And
Yeah.
then he ended up hiring me a few times to come over and take pictures at when he would have guests there, whatever. And then he must have been thinking about, maybe I could do this here, and maybe. So when did the idea come before I met you that we actually started putting things together?
Well, we had a major competitor in the Philly market, which, was Dancing on Air. And the whole thing was, how can we make it a little bit different from Dancing on Air? How can we showcase the talent in Southern New Jersey? So I think it was just a hybrid of ideas to say, let's actually have it in a nightclub, a teen nightclub, rather than having it in a TV studio, make it more of a realistic environment. And I think, those are the seeds that we started out with, and develop the show idea and, put all the pieces together, getting involved with a radio station like WPST.
Did you come with me to the meeting at PST?
I did not.
Okay. Because I know I went to every station in the Philly market, and they kind of like were just thanks for no thanks and blah blah blah.
Sure.
And I figured, well, it's always that last call. And evidently, whoever I think the program director was just thinking, well, okay, let me at least talk to this guy. And I brought my friend Levon Johnson, and I actually, with 3 or 4 meetings, I had it down pat. But what they said, we would be able to, have promotion through a radio station to get kids in, but they had the hook. They had Monday morning. Was it Friday morning quarterback?
Yep.
And they said, well, could we actually have him on here? And I'm sorry, the name escapes me right now. I know I have a couple of clips of him, but
yeah, it was Cal Rudman doing the Friday morning quarterback.
So that was the hook that they said, would we be able to have Cal on here? I said, of course, why not? So we put that whole thing together. And then I started saying, well, we need sponsorships. And Dale came to me. I said, technically, I could get the production company to 3 cameras. Ikegami cameras at that time shooting on 3/4 inch. I said, well, we need TV lighting. And then, I know an electrician. I know guys that do electrical work that Monteforto's and Mons' company or family did all that, and they ended up building a stage. And it's a shame we don't have behind the scenes thing, but I just so happened about 2 weeks ago that I know we're coming up to have the real ID to travel and everything. And I'm not going to renew it. My license, I still have a Jersey license, going to renew in 2 years. By figuring, let me get a passport. Okay, I haven't had a passport. Couldn't find my couldn't find my birth certificate. So I'm going through boxes and this and that. And lo and behold, all this memorabilia for 40 some years I've been dragging everywhere, and even now out here.
Yep. It found you, Carl. It found you.
Yes. And just so happens, I said, timing is everything. So I'm just saying, I found a couple of the publications and little notices that was our first little notice out there.
There it is with Cal Rudman, the Corey artists.
Now, that was actually, it was like Ad Age. There was an actual magazine for advertising in the Philadelphia market that I placed an ad in there to try to get people. And I went to Coke, I went to Pepsi, I went to 7-Up, and always with the theme that if you advertise with us, we will take out, whoever was in there and put their products in there to sell. So this is actually after we already aired and taped their recommendation from 7-Up. So it's actually, people say, oh, you didn't do this. Well, I actually found the documents of it. Yeah. And back then, it was $2,000 cash, a check that I got from them. But if we ever make a movie out of it, it was the funniest thing that Friday afterwards. Now, Dale never told the Pepsi guy that you were out. So he would always come about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon just to set up. Mm-hmm. The 7-Up people were there like at 11 o'clock in the morning, totally respectfully put all the Pepsi stuff on the side and set up. And so we see the truck come up and the guy going, and I go to Dale. I said, Dale, did you say anything? He says, oh my God, I forgot. The guy walks in and it's all you hear, screaming, hollering, what the? I said, hey, you mentioned you guys, whoever advertised for the show, you're going to have the product in there. Well, they never told me. I said, I pointed to Dale. I said, well, he should have told you. So that's how that
would be a great scene for the movie, Carl. Just that whole situation of the
I'm still trying to get money for it. I'm not giving up until they put me in the ground or whatever. It just so happens. So it's nice to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Here, it's a whole marketing thing that we say, well, look, how are we going to draw other people to? So there's only one station would be able to carry it. 17 already has
Dancing on Air.
And that's a whole nother subject because Mike, not so nice, actually invited me there because knowing that I was going to be competition for him. And then 29 was busy doing other stuff. 48 was already off the air because the whole Kaiser broadcasting. So where else was I going to do?
Channel 65.
There was Channel 65. Back then they were doing infomercials. They were doing like Wall Street stuff. But you could buy the time at night and on weekends. So I went down there, gave them a proposal, and they basically gave me a price for 7 o'clock on a Friday night to air. I said, okay. They gave me a price and it was fine. So I figured, okay, I need so much. So I was traveling everywhere. And I think I was on a mission. So between that and then we went over to Dancing on Air. We went to Channel 17. I said, well, look, I'll make it. I said, you give us cheaper rates and we'll advertise California East on Dancing on Air, maybe 2 or 3 days out of a 5-day week. So, and this is the actual ad. There was 2 ads, the one for 7-Up, but this is the one that actually was on the program, but this is the one that actually played on Dancing on Air.
For the best in under 21 nightclub entertainment, it's California East, Delaware Valley's hottest under 21 nightclub. California East features the best Philly DJs along with one of the most spectacular sound and lighting systems south of New York. Come and relax in our video lounge and meet new friends while you enjoy a refreshing beverage at our tropical fruit drink bar. California East is open each and every Friday night from 8 p.m. till 12:30. Located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, just 10 minutes from Philly. 1/2 mile west of the Cherry Hill Mall. So don't miss out. Come to California.
Some great memories there, Carl. Yeah.
Now, the night that they came out with the production company that I use, Video Communication Services out of Riverton, and we told the kids ahead of time we were going to shoot a commercial. Then you really felt a buzz. Were you there that night when we shot the commercial?
Yeah, in fact, I remembered a few of the dancers that were featured in the commercials. So,
yes, that's all part of a movie or whatever. But yeah, and then we kind of knew like we have something here.
yeah,
I think we really have something. We could expand on this. So, and then he ended up getting a lot of calls, a lot of people like, what is this place? Oh my God, we could actually play. And the place was huge.
yeah.
Had at least
It was a
11.
warehouse that they had
And
converted
Daryle,
over.
thank God, nothing, because there was still smoking in the place. We realized, I don't think Dale had any insurance on the place, but we were very, very lucky that nobody got hurt. There was a few fights, but nothing of anything.
Times were different back then. That was the whole way. We weren't litigious, and everybody just was there to have a good time. And as a teen, where could you go? Unless you had fake ID to go to an adult nightclub, that was the place to be.
Well, not that everything was 100%. Now, this was a warehouse and basically a residential place. And he only was able, after so many times, to be able to be open on a one night a week, on a Friday night. So once we started doing some promotion about that we were going to do it that April 7th, I think, there was a Sunday afternoon. Then the local press, the Suburban, came over to interview me and a couple other people, and we had this article come out happening, mentioning about that it was going to be on certain stations, the tie-in with 7 Up.
And there's your quote there, Carl. It's major happening for South Jersey, and especially for Cherry Hill. There you go. The last column there, I see your quote.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm very spiritual now, Daryle. And then all of a sudden, right next to me, I have that, plastic tin. It was like manna from heaven, just came up and rose to me. You have to do this. Yeah. So, and I hadn't seen that in 15, 20 years, and it still was pretty decent. I said, well, this is saying something. So who knows if it has legs? And obviously, the 40th anniversary really didn't come out with anybody, because look, 40 years is 40 years for a lot of people. But I still have a page for it. I still have the YouTube page with all the different clips. But then you were also part of, I did a lot of, the photographer I hired for some reason, I don't know if he disappeared. Maybe I didn't have the money to pay him. But what I did, I got freeze frames from all the clips. So the first one I'm going to play is you with your shades on. Really great looking back in the day.
Yeah, and Carl, I was able to go into my archives. I'm actually wearing that same jacket right now for your show. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here it is.
Stand up and show it.
There you go.
Beautiful. And then you got to get another one, a higher shot. You don't really see the jacket so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an exciting time. There was actually an investor that was going to invest money into it. The guy that actually had the guy's name was Harold Folkrod. He's the one who had all the games and pinball machines up in the lobby. And he had different venues, and Dale allowed him to put that in there. Obviously, they had a revenue thing, but Dale was really, because we actually went to the man's house in Philadelphia one day to really do a hard sell. And boy, and he was almost, and I had to pick the papers that nothing was ever signed in incorporation, how much he was going to put into it. But I think for some reason he got cold feet and never actually put the money out there. And so, but it was really an interesting time. Nobody dances anymore. So here's a couple other pictures of Dale and Mark Shepard.
Cal Rudman.
Cal, yeah. And Tom Cunningham, is a friend of mine, and actually,
Pretty Poison.
yeah, and
There's Tom. Yeah. Now, did we have Cal on before? Because I know Dancing on Air had him on as well.
well, yeah, he was everywhere. But in hindsight, that
There's Jade. Yeah.
I was looking to make sure I was able to complete it and do it. But boy, did I learn the business end of it afterwards.
And that's such a great story, and that's why, you've been talking about your screenplay, all the things that you had to put together, all the things you had to line up. I mean,
I was a man possessed, and I believe Dale had the additional finances to get this over the 13-week hump and to continue. Even if he didn't have the location anymore, that they kicked him out of that location, we still had the kids. We could have gone into any studio, makeshift studio, and still do it because I was there as how Dancing on Air was done. So all in all, let me show the actual opening, because a couple of things. Now I have to actually thank Kathy Pavlinetti, who was my first wife, and she's now remarried and everything, but she was my floor manager. She worked at KYW. And I and Dale were still in the rooms dealing with some business stuff with Harold. So, and she wasn't going to wait. So I have to thank her for actually starting it and getting it started with the production company. But the one thing they forgot is, you'll see, is the banner was never hung. But let's just enjoy the first 3 minutes of the first show.
California East Dance Party is brought to you by 7-Up, the drink that's crisp and clear with no caffeine, and by WPST 97.5 FM in Trenton. Your host for Dance Party, Dale Lawani.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the California East Dance Party. This is the Delaware Valley's newest dance variety show. We're coming to you from the California East Under 21 nightclub in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I'm Dale Lawani, your host.
And I'm Mark Shepard from WPST 97.5 FM in Trenton, New Jersey. Yeah, we want to thank you for having WPST as part of your first show. What a crowd we have here today. I tell you, what a place this is.
Glad to have you with us, Mark.
And I tell you, we got a whole bunch of surprises lined up for the people watching tonight, so stay tuned.
Well, we're going to take a peek today at the private party that was held for Michael Jackson 2 months ago up in New York City. And one lucky winner is going to receive this white glove. That's right.
And
Special
this fan mail
invitation.
kit is going to be given away, too. Get a pencil and paper ready. We're going to give you an address of where you can send away to maybe win these things.
Well, today is Friday the 13th. So what does that mean?
It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark. Under the moonlight, it's feels that almost stops your heart. You try to scream, but terror takes the sound.
Well, that segment goes for another 2 minutes. But I look back, thank God it all worked. Some of the people I knew I put in charge of certain things that made sure it happened. I can't thank them enough, because, look, people think you just put cameras up there and production, that, it's not easy. You make it look easy, but it's not. And I knew the fundamentals how to do it, but I'm glad I put the proper people, professionals in the proper, rather than have it turn into a disaster. And, it was a 3-camera shoot. They shot it there, and then we did some editing and put some things in there. But all in all, now you were there. You were in the top left-hand corner of that intro.
Yeah, right.
Give us some get feedback on how what you actually were thinking about, because you were how old at that time?
I was 17, turning 18. And
all right, so that day, because it was a special Sunday.
Senior at Cherokee High School. And yeah, it was definitely exciting to be part of the show, and having known Dale. And Dale just kind of rolled right into it. So it was good. His debut as a as a show host or co-host, and it was great being part of it. And all the people we kind of grew up with. We had the appearance with Pretty Poison and Jaden Way from the group there. So it was really a culmination of all these people that I knew, kind of create magic, in this under 21 nightclub, and it was a great, unique experience. Carl, how many episodes did you wind up producing?
Well, we ran 13 weeks. We shot that one show on that Sunday. All we did was get one. So there was enough in the budget that we're able to come out about 2 or 3 weeks later on a Friday night and shoot a lot. We pretended like we actually had Dale come in with 2 sports jackets so he was able to change, pretending. So we actually shot 3 times and just rotated each one over a 13-week period. Now, we wanted to be, a weekly, once every week, but then the budget, you just couldn't produce because back then it cost $3,000 to bring the production company out there and shoot. So we had enough for a second shoot, but see, on a Friday night, we had the time. The only thing is we tried to, have them not smoke that much. So we'd had a haze, almost looked like, an old boxing rink. So that was another thing, but it worked out. And then you see later on in the other ones that we actually have the logo and everything mounted, and we actually did, a little bit of like little graphics got good. But I look back and I figured somebody's going to offer me something, this and that. And I think the rest of 84, I really learned the business, and that, I didn't really have anybody on my side because the people in Philadelphia were saying, oh, no, we don't want competition for this, this great dancing on air, which was a great show, but it was a daily, but they didn't want any competition. So, it got me into the business in one way or the other. So I don't regret anything. But now looking back, just going and getting a live performers there, because the Hooters were the biggest draw at that time. They were, a rock band. They were really big. And I know they said, oh, call their manager. I forget who their manager was to try to book. And he goes, oh, minimum $4,000. It's like, well, I don't think I could do it. I said, you couldn't just do a promotional. He said, nope. Okay, fine. So somebody mentioned Pretty Poison, and we talked, and I said, would you mind to do it just because they were having a new, song come out nighttime. And they said, no problem. And so ironic, on my YouTube page. Now, it originally had not many subscribers, not many viewers, but in the last year and a half, this one, I'm going to play the whole thing. It's 5 minutes and 47 seconds. It went from 9,000 views to just 65,000 views as of yesterday. Obviously, there must have been touring, a lot of people, and I look at people all over the world while watching it. So if you could, I know you said that for them to be on, they had to know somebody. But if you could ever get them just to talk about that and their career, not talk about California East, but talk about their career and to thank them to be there because, hey, it gave the show some legitimate,
I'll reach out to them for you, Carl.
All right. So further ado, and I'll mention after the fact a couple of technical influences, but on that, I'm just going to mention that was their new press.
Party! We've got something real special for you right now on the California East Dance Party. A special preview of Pretty Poison's new single, Nighttime.
Well,
Jade Starling, I think she was about 20 years old at the time, and if you've seen her today, she is ageless. She looks
I know. I see her pictures there.
great
She's out
today
there.
as she did then, and you know, you're going to tell us about the fog machine incident that went on there.
Yes. Yes. As you can see, well, first of all, you see that the whole logo and everything is just laying there. It's like, oh my God. But I think that's like with the ambiance of it. But then the fog machine got a little bit too crazy. And did they provide the fog machine? Because I know we didn't.
Yeah, they brought their own fog machine, and apparently, you know, they just hit it all at once, and you saw you had a white camera angle there, and it was just. And she had to get out of there, so she moved forward on the stage, as you noticed,
Yeah.
just so she wasn't like, you know, breathing in all the,
But,
the
you know,
fog. So
I think having a truly professional production company there and the cameramen, because I think they knew that, you know, we don't know where she's going to go, but just we'll make a wide enough shot that you could follow her. And they were getting into it. You could see they were shooting between the girls, between the kids, and get some really nice shots there. And, you know, and it's from almost a year and a half from it grew 40 some thousand views on YouTube, which I liked. And obviously they must have been on tour. They've been doing it and got a lot. So, and it's only going down as of yesterday. It only went up 7. So they must be not touring or whatever. So if you could ever reach out to them, and Daryle, I'm saying you could,
Yeah.
you know, MC it. I don't have to be the host, but I just love to produce it and maybe look back at that and then talk about their career, you know. This is where we could work out in that sense, you know. So
yeah, well, we'll show them this podcast, Carl, and you know, I'm sure that once they see it, you know, they want to relate the story. So I'm glad you still have the footage, and as I said, I keep on saying magical time, but you know, bringing all these artists together and you know, putting together that dream team.
and actually that we know we're all digital now. I had 3/4 inch masters where there's only one, but that's on like show 3. So basically everything I'm showing was a VHF copy of the original Channel 65 broadcast that I was able to salvage. But at least I was able to have that, you know, that, you know, was amazing. But here's a couple of little nice with her. They really did.
Yeah, her red hair matched her red shirt there.
Yeah, and it was a massive place. And the set that they built, thank God they built it sturdy, because if they didn't build it sturdy with all that dancing, you know, we were afraid of some other stuff happening. And here I do have the interview with Dale, and I think Dale got a little bit, I have to use the word obnoxious, because if you ever look, Jade, she just gives him a look like, what are you talking about? What are you, nuts? You know, but, you know, it flowed. I think the kids really had a good time. They really excited. I still get some comments.
Yeah,
from
the
people.
Michael Jackson zipper jacket.
Yeah.
I'm there. Yeah.
And we have to, some of the girls that were there all the time that really spiced it up. They were always having a great time. And, and we do have to throw out to Rodney that if it wasn't for him calling me and asking his daughter, can you find what I did as a 14-year-old breakdancer? And this, he even said, you were a breakdancer on a TV show? So that's the freeze frame of the whatever they called themselves back then. So, but yeah, it was a great time. It got me actually out of what I was doing into this wonderful career. And then here we are 45 years later doing this thing called podcasting, and be able to talk to you through the miles that you're in Jersey. Here I am in California. So a little bit. So that was 84 and got to what I realized we didn't have any legs, but then you went on to other things after that. Daryle, give us a little bit of background on what you did. I know you did a lot of promotions. I have a picture of you later on, not too long ago, that you were doing these digital signs.
Yeah, so digital screens. So
yeah, go up what you were getting involved with, because I have some other pictures with some celebrities.
Yeah, so after that, into the late 80s, I got involved with radio. I actually worked at Top 40 station Philadelphia called Eagle 106. I had a gig on the weekends called the Party Patrol Lifeguard. And I do live check-ins on the radio station. Wawa was my sponsor. So, Sunkist Orange Soda. So the studio is one thing, being in the box as a radio DJ was, to me, not exciting. So when I talked to the radio station and got the job, I'm like, great. I'm out in the field, being able to do interviews, do live check-ins. And I was with Eagle 106 for a couple of years. And then really developed the business around the radio station business. I owned a car customizing business called Fast Tech Autosport. And
let's just go back a little bit. How did the picture with Wolfman, with Megastar, where did Megastar come from?
So Megastar was, my DJ business, where we basically got involved with, producing shows for, nonprofits, local townships, entertainment for their park series. And then this is a shot, Patti LaBelle at the Philadelphia Music Foundation, and a very good friend of mine who built radio stations for a living, Mike Venditti. He's no longer with us, but this guy's claim to fame, if you want to go back to Wolfman Jack, this is a great story around Wolfman, was that Wolfman got a start at a radio station right over the border from Del Rio, Texas, in Mexico. And they bought a transmitter from RCA that they could never get up to full power because the FCC in the US had power limits on how many watts your radio station transmitter could broadcast. But in Mexico, they had different limits. So my friend Mike Venditti went down to, I believe it was...
I think you do almost 100,000 watts, right?
Yes. So he worked on the transmitter for a couple of days there and actually got it up to full power. And at night, it covered 2/3 of the world with the Wolfman Jack show. So he made friends with Wolfman Jack at the time. And when the Wolfman was in Cherry Hill, actually at the racetrack pavilion doing a show, Mike was like, I want you to meet the Wolfman. I want you to meet the Wolfman. So this is actually, a picture backstage. I had my pink Cadillac Bolero on, and we had some great conversations here, and really a great guy, larger than life personality.
Yeah. How can you not forget his,
one of my mentors? Yeah.
That voice. And then you ended up this is Janet Jackson.
Yeah. Yep. So I worked promo with a lot of the promotion directors. I did a lot of work with RCA, AM, and Arista. There's a local promoter named Snooky Jones, and Snooky would invite me to all these shows. And I started publishing a magazine called iMix Magazine, the International Music Information Exchange, as a tip sheet for club DJs, and got a wonderful opportunity to work with Janet Jackson on her first album, and tremendous experience as well. So
didn't I take pictures for you at one of your trade shows? I know you invited me for some.
Through the magazine I curated. I was the originator of their first annual DJ Expo. We actually had it in Philadelphia. Now
at the Holiday Inn on 4th and Market.
Yep,
I remember that.
Yep, the Holiday Inn at 4th and Market. We had our first annual DJ Expo, first one in the country. We brought together DJ equipment manufacturers and record labels, and it was a great experience. So music was always part of my life. And then I got involved with the radio stations and customizing their vehicles, and really enjoyed that aspect of it. And then this whole thing called the internet came around, and I was bitten by the internet bug and been involved with the internet ever since. So building websites, promoting websites, and that's what I do up to today with my company called Publicity, which was a play on the word publicity, because when you worked in radio, everybody wanted to say, hey, can you give me a shout out? Can you get me on radio? Mention my company. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, but what do you want to happen? Do you want more people to come into your store? You want more people to call you? I'm like, I don't know. I just want my name mentioned. So that's what really inspired me to delve into marketing, to say we can do the greatest job getting you publicity, but it's really about publicity. It's about connecting you, with your target market and making sure they become a customer, not just hear your name.
So you think the podcasting has shelf life that's going to be around for a while, or something else? Because I just have to go real quick. That back in because you knew that back when we used to talk, I was doing car dealerships for quite a long time, and that was pretty lucrative. I actually think I helped you out for something, whatever. But I worked at 07 and 08 at the Phillies games for a thing called fan photo, that you would have a camera, you would take pictures of a family and give them a card, and they would go online, buy the picture. That was like 2 years before the iPhone. And I actually had a contract with the River Sharks in Camden from 09 and 10. But then I realized, man, people were like with the iPhones, and that's a business that only lasted 3 years. So do you think this podcasting, because everybody's getting involved with it and they're talking unbelievable amounts of money to try to producing, and I just blow them away. And hopefully I had a meeting on Tuesday, somebody out here to maybe do a series of podcasts that actually could be very beneficial. So with your help, got me to that level. But where do you think this medium, is this the future? Is it going to have legs, or something else is going to come about? Because I know you're pretty good at that.
Yeah, the bottom line really is about the content of the shows. We've seen a major shift in mainstream media moving away from the traditional, network TV shows and listening to podcasts. Podcasts originally started out with the iPod and audio, and then audio bridged into video. So a lot of people have all these different channels. They can record a video podcast, strip the audio off of it, get it on Apple Music and iHeartRadio, and distribute it that way. And then they take the video part of it, put it on YouTube, chop it up into even smaller pieces, do YouTube Shorts, be able to put it on Instagram, TikTok, and all the social media as well. So podcast as a medium, really, to me, is about the content and content creators. And the more we have content creators out there that are creating content which resonates with audiences, I don't see any end to it. I see more people moving from mainstream media. We've seen it, through this whole, COVID and lockdown period, where a lot of these aspiring podcasters started growing audiences because they weren't getting the right information from mainstream media, whether it was because they were, supported by, their advertisers, and they didn't want to say anything negative about their advertisers, or they were dictated by the content. And, you see this content out there where at one time they were given the same script to every major, network, and you saw the same information over and over and over again, and it wasn't real content from real content creators. And that's what I think the major shift was. People were looking at different perspectives. They wanted to hear a different perspective. They wanted to hear information they maybe didn't hear otherwise, or they maybe wanted to see information that was, backed up with more research rather than, the standard narrative of traditional network media. So that's what really gave birth, to podcasting, I would say, over the last 5 years, where people are searching for content that resonates with them. They want to hear varying opinions, just like you, Carl, the things you created, in the boxing realm for people that were part of traditional media, and giving them their own voice and being able to tell their story. Because on traditional media, it's all about sound bites. You can't take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour sharing your story. Traditional network media is about smaller clips, And also the problem with traditional network media is their budgets have shrank. I coming from the publicity days, drafting press releases, getting clients on radio and TV. I mean, they had 4 or 5 producers that would do research and look for guests. Now they're looking if they have one producer. So from a network media perspective, they just don't have the resources that they did measure many years ago, and that's really given life to the world of podcasting. So, Carl, answer your question. I don't see any end to it. I see more to it because it's if you're a creator and you have an idea or you have an angle, or if you have information that resonates with people, they're going to seek you out, whether it's through snippets and snackable content on social, where they say, "Hey, I like this person. I want to follow them," leading to their YouTube channel, leading to their audio podcast. I mean, that's how audiences are built today.
But through your guidance, I figured, I'm 15 years older than you. I'm in my early 70s, and people are saying, "Well, what are you doing a podcast for? Retire, die, that stuff." But then I get invigorated. But I said, "Well, how am I going to fit in this marketplace?" But then I do know a wide range of people who have really wonderful backgrounds. I said, "Just talk to them," and I did. And then understanding what StreamYard does, and it actually makes it very easy because my background was always trying to produce and everything. So I was able to get my feet wet. And so last September, I actually thank you again that I knew I needed a little bit extra help when I went to, meet Russell Peltz, who's the king of boxing promotions in Philly. But even though now, he's in his late 70s, he's semi-retired and doing some promotion and consulting work, that whole boxing thing. But then I said, "Russell, your story needs to be told." And he totally appreciates it. Now it's just a matter of scheduling. He's in Florida, and he can't. Right after the New Year, he actually called me and said he felt bad that he said, "I can't get any sponsors. It's okay. I'm not if you don't want to do it." I said, "No, this is an act of I really enjoy this." And he said, "I said we don't need a sponsor to do this. We get one great, but it's not contingent on sponsorship." And he thanked me so much about that. I said, "Look, when I'm ready for stuff, we'll do it." So you there that one day, because I have to say, I was nervous as all hell. People say, "How did you get Russell Peltz?" Call him. See what he says.
Yeah.
If he said no, he said no. But then you made it professional to the point of walking in there. You knew what you were doing. You set it up, blah, 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 blah. Perfect. There's again another thank you. So yeah, thank you for making me a content creator. So
you are, Carl. And thank you for reaching out and using this medium to tell other people's stories. I know you work with, Johnny Patillo. And if you're not familiar with Johnny, I used to go to his karaoke night at Henny's in Stone Harbor.
I know,
which is actually where Taylor Swift got her start. Taylor
he's got that autograph.
He was probably like 12 or 13 at the time.
When she was 14, he's got that. Yeah. That's a whole nother thing. And he's a professional, he's an old guy, and he doesn't really understand this medium. And I said, "You got to be on there all the time." And he wants to take his time. I said, and so, some things work, some things don't. And I don't, it's like, I keep moving on. And I can't believe I'm at my 50th. So, and one great thing about StreamYard now, because you were talking about shorts, the advance, when they raise the price, they actually do all these shorts automatically through AI. So even I did the one, you met my cousin Vince, and we just talk sports, and we did one the other night as my 48th, and it produced like 8 shorts, about a minute and a half each. Now, the podcast itself only got 10 views, but the shorts, as of this morning, got 1,400 views between 5 of them. So that's another thing that's like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. So I'm sure whatever comes out of this too is going to be good. So,
and that's how you build your audience, Carl. It's in the media business, we call it snackable content. People are looking for a little taste of what you're doing. So they're going to see that short, and that short could be a social media post. It could be on YouTube Shorts. And that's how you kind of get people interested in what you're doing. And then it leads them to the long form, which is your YouTube channel. So, don't stop doing it. It's a great way to build audience. And at least, as I said, give them a little snack of what you do. To whet their appetite. They're like, "Hey, I like what this guy's doing." And then if you're listening and watching to our podcast here today, reach out to Carl. I mean, Carl has a tremendous, years and years of experience, to interview you to help you get your own podcast. Because at the end of the day, we're all content creators. We all have a story to tell. And it's so easy with technology. I mean, Carl, think how long it would take you to, chop it without the help of AI into smaller content pieces. Use technology, use AI to make your tasks easier to do and get the word out there.
Yeah. It's amazing that I was able to manage it, because I think I mentioned last summer I was doing some little part-time somewhere else, and there was a guy in his 30s, and I would see every once in a while on my YouTube page, a nice little comment about stuff. It was a kid that I worked with. He was in his early 30s. Says, "Wow, man, you really make it look easy." It's like, I make it look easy. It should be the other way around. And here's a kid who couldn't get out of and he helps out. He's the one who did the drone video for me for the area and the Airstream RV place. But I figured, just keep going. And what I've done, I was able to make a nice presentation on Tuesday to someone in Irvine who wants to do a feature, because obviously immigration is really big now in today's world, and he wants to have a series of stuff. And it all went well. We shook hands, and hopefully next week I'll actually have a print. So I'll be able to have some good news on that front. But then just to expand it, and it's a lot of fun. It's not work.
Yeah.
When you do something you love, you don't work it, and
Yeah.
you don't worry about the money. The money will come when you finally show people what you could do. Everybody say, "Well, I need this, I need that." No, but hey, anything I may have forgotten or maybe didn't cover, California East was the catalyst of our friendship and over these 40 years and in and out. And then congratulations on being a grandpop and how time flies so fast. And, I know, with your engagement. So kudos to that. But what do you see? Maybe we could, anytime you want to do another one, because, you could still be here on the administrator for StreamYard for
Yeah, let me, I'm going to, as I said, reach out to Way and Jade, and let's see if I can put that interview together. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I don't have to be. I could just come on real fast, but I could produce it for you. You could MC it if you want, and I could play this, and they could talk about their career, because I think that would be really great for YouTube also. For that, I don't know if they're looking to do that. I haven't seen them on a podcast, have they?
No, I talked to Way. When did I speak to him? Last year. I was working on the 40th anniversary of Miami Vice. They were doing a reunion September in Miami, but tried to get them, part of the musical lineup, but wasn't enough budgeted. So I did speak to Way at that point, but I will reach out to him as well. And it was my pleasure to celebrate the 50th podcast with you, Carl, and also, to celebrate our long-term friendship. Just starting out of at under 21 club in Cherry Hill, and all these years checking in with each other, and our friendship really means a lot. To you, and to me, and I hear it. I appreciate the gratitude, and just want to leave you with something. I'm launching a new project because, as you know, my fiance Mara is a integrative nutrition health coach and personal chef, and a lot of people ask us about health and wellness. And one of the things that, been on this health journey, to regain my DJ voice 100%. And I'll be launching a new website called 7keys.com. It's number 7, KEY, the Z is for Zen.com. I'll come back on the show when we launch that. But it's an online resource for wellness practitioners that people are looking for. They're looking for, alternative, holistic, integrative, ways to improve their health. There's a lot of practitioners out there. They struggle with marketing themselves. So my mission really is to get the word out there about people, because at the end of the day, first comes health. Your health is the most important thing to you, to your family, to everything that you're doing. And I'm now, going to be a part of that journey by creating an online directory to help people find the practitioners, that can help them in their wellness journey. So I look forward to sharing that with you in a future episode.
Well, actually, at this age, I've, finally found a primary doctor. And the only thing I've been really lucky about health, I basically just take some blood pressure medications, but I'm going to go for other tests. But yes, anything with a natural. So when you're ready for that, please give me a holler or come on board. We'll promote it and get it out there. So yeah, Daryle, it's pleasure to go down memory lane, but I hopefully maybe it'll have some lays. And I haven't forgotten to try to still, because if I produce a movie out of it, I don't want to do it. I hate to use this expression half-ass. There's a lot of small production guys that, doing mob things, and they're small and they're nothing big, but I want to do something really like a real film. And I don't want to, because of I don't have the money, but I think it'd be something like combination of Dirty Dancing meets Saturday Night Fever, somebody coming
Well,
from a
and I'm going to give you the tip for today. I mean, I'm doing a lot of work educating my clients on, leveraging AI within their businesses. So ChatGPT, what everybody knows about, but there are a number of ways to stimulate creating scripts, and they use something called prompts, where you'll basically ask ChatGPT, I'm looking to write a screenplay that encompasses, Dirty Dancing, meets this and that, and kind of put all those ideas, create an outline for me to brainstorm on creating a script. And ChatGPT will, as I said, utilizing this vast artificial intelligence, give you some ideas. And ChatGPT isn't the end all be all, but it's a great thought tool to inspire you that, hey, I didn't think about that, or hey, I didn't think about this. So I definitely recommend leveraging that with your script ideas. There's a number of online influencers that specialize in creating these ChatGPT prompts. So I'd recommend, I'll share a couple of those with you offline, Carl. At the end of the day, you got to launch it, and utilizing kind of like your artificial intelligence screenwriting partner is a great way to continue that journey. So
now,
check in with you.
I know I brought a treatment. Didn't my cousin drop off the treatment and maybe like a little partial script to you back?
Yes.
So maybe you could go through that again and maybe say, okay, send that, because I have copies of that myself that I could send it to this new venue that you're mentioning about.
Yeah.
It would be ironic to be able to go back and actually recreate all this, because, boy, between the music I want to use and how it would be, I think it would be something. And then showing dancing back, that we really used to go out and enjoy dancing, and then going to the diner after the clubs. And I would have a character. We all know, good old Vince Villapelli, correct? Who used to be, the bouncer at Valentino's. I used to park cars. I always remember that he would come in about 3:30 in the morning, and he would be like the entourage coming in, and he would pick up on every booth, whoever's eating a French fry, he's eating a piece of a burger until they give him his seat, stuff like that. It's like, we lived it, and telling stories, people out here, they'd be like, wow, you really experienced that? I said, yeah, I thought it was normal, commonplace. And I showed him.
We lived it, Carl. We lived it. Yeah.
I know we did, but we still have to talk about it. So Daryle, I know we're about on the hour mark. I want to thank you so much for being on here for my 50th.
Anytime.
Thank you for propelling me to this. I never thought I'd be there, but hey, who knows? The future is good. So any final comments until the next time?
Attitude of gratitude, Carl. And thank you so much for the kind words today. And I'll see you next time. This is the beginning of many more. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you again. And we'll be talking soon. Thank you. Thank you.